everyone. Happy Sunday, and I can't believe it's already November. Today is Sunday, November 5th, and the year is almost over. The interesting thing about the energy going on right now is that it's going to continue to be fairly heavy energy for the next several weeks even. So we can expect to see turbulence still in our world, but it doesn't mean that you have to let turbulence be in your world. And on my Sunday morning prayers, I kind of gave everybody a little bit of a challenge to only talk about and think about the things you love today. It will really set a beautiful tone for your whole week. So talk about everything you love, whether it's French fries or the rain, whatever it is that you love, talk about those things. And what you don't love, just for today, don't focus on it. Don't think about the things that you don't love. Focus on the things that you do love and tell everyone around you what they are. Speak about the things that you love. Let it out loud and let your family members know how much you love them and what you love about them. Talking about what we love brings us more of what we love. So, and as people enter the room, super exciting for me to see all of you here. It's such a blessing. So good morning to all of you. I hope you have your questions ready because it's kind of going to be big today. We're talking about soul contracts. We're going to also be talking about, sorry, my camera's moving. My cell phone's got a problem. All right. Cross your fingers, it stays. Okay. Anyway, I'm always goofy, right? So you can count on me to be goofy. Soul contracts today, soul growth and soul lessons. And also we're going to be talking about soulmates. So I'm going to start off with kind of defining all of these things so that we're working on the same page and so you understand what I'm talking about from my perspective. Again with the camera. Anyway, so soul contracts. We, in the afterlife, before we incarnate, we work with other beings that we love. And some of them end up being our guides. Some of them end up being family members that we have in this lifetime. And we also work with elders. Those are higher beings that have evolved on the other side to support those of us who are still working on our soul path, soul growth kinds of things. So before we incarnate, we create somewhat of a roadmap. And the roadmap relates to the things in this lifetime or the lifetime that you're going to be experiencing for growth opportunities and for lessons to be learned. And sometimes people say or they think that our lives are all just about learning lessons, but really there's supposed to be happiness and joy and just experience. I think there's true evidence on that with wine and chocolate in the world. So those aren't really lessons, but they're things for us to enjoy. So our soul does come to grow and evolve. And that's really the ultimate purpose of our soul, whether we're here incarnate or we're on the other side in heaven, pick your term with that. So we have to consider and think about that not everything needs to be a struggle. Not everything needs to be to grow us. Sometimes we just have things we're supposed to enjoy and experience with other people, or just to have the pleasures of being incarnate or of having an earthly life. So a soul contract begins to get made on the other side, and mostly that contract is for the purpose of growth, for the purpose of your soul to have lessons. We coordinate with these other beings so that they play a role in our life. There's a wonderful book by a woman named Caroline Mace, and it's called Sacred Contracts. And it does kind of discuss in a very interesting way, like soulmate kinds of connections that I'm going to be discussing here today as well. And I'm just so excited to see all of the people entering the room that are coming in. And I see that there are some people here in the room that were in the beginning class yesterday, which was such an amazing experience even for me. We got to do some extra things that I don't always do in a beginning class. It was just So hi, and welcome to everyone here, and super blessings to extra hugs to those of you who were here yesterday and still have the energy to get up. So that's awesome to see. But back to soul contracts. When you think of a roadmap, you think of a direction that you need to take. And a soul contract or a soul map is that same kind of ideal. It gives you somewhat of a chart without taking away free will to get through experiences in this life that your soul wants to have so that it can grow and develop. And oftentimes we grow and develop through struggles or challenges in our life. Not everything has to be that way, but certainly there will be things on your soul contract that relate to some of the struggles and life lessons that you're meant to learn. Now, when I first understood soul contracts, it was through a connection to my grandfather, my mom's dad, who's clearly on the other side. He's in heaven, and I was having a struggle in my life, and it was related to a family situation. And so my grandfather came to me, and it wasn't even in a meditation. I was going about my business through the house. I was probably doing laundry, putting things away, doing little things, right? Like we know we do. He came forward. I felt his presence, and I heard very loudly, "You chose your parents." And I went, yeah, no, I'm really sure that I didn't. Like that. No, it was a piece of upsetting information because I hadn't taken responsibility at that point for looking at my life more holistically, and even the afterlife part of my life. Even though I had started to embrace spirit, there was still so much more for me to learn. So I'm hoping through what I can share with you today that you can experience some of the knowledge and information and go a lot further faster than it took me. But it bothered me because of some of the traumas that I've had in my life. And I want to say that I believe both my mom and my stepdad are amazing and wonderful human beings. So I don't want to sound like I'm trying to say that they're not. But when I was young, my father died, and it was a life-altering and changing situation that I'm sure all of you can understand and imagine. And I don't feel I'm the same person because of it, but I wouldn't say that I'm a less of a person. And so it was a very tragic and difficult thing to go through. There were difficult times in my life as a very young person because of the loss of that very important person in my life, your dad, right? Like it's any of you that have lost a dad, you can understand and relate to why that would be such a big deal. So when my grandfather stepped forward and told me from spirit that you chose your parents, it set me on a journey to find out, why would I do that? That sounds crazy. I wouldn't have chose my life to be this hard or this difficult, and I didn't want to believe it. It was a hard thing to believe. And so I had synchronicities happen in my life, and there goes my phone camera again. I'm gonna have to deal with that before next week. So I had synchronicities happen, and one of the things that happened was that book that I had mentioned to you all was Sacred Contracts by Caroline Mace. Someone had brought my attention to that book, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't go after buying the book or anything right away, and then I heard another person mention it. And then I was listening to some radio show, and someone on the radio show mentioned it, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have to get this book. And that also helped me, by reading Sacred Contracts, understand and open my heart and mind to receiving more information from Spirit, the way that I get it, about this topic of we make our choices and we create a contract and we create somewhat of a roadmap before we incarnate. And that includes the good times and the bad times in our life. We establish certain markers or things to help us learn and grow. So, and it's dependent on each person. Not everybody's going to lose their dad at 2 years old. Not everybody's going to have tragic events happen in their lives. But certainly, if you look at your life, you can probably see some of those pivotal markers that changed you forever. I also feel that even the loss of my grandparents, both my grandmother and my grandfather, the way that I did so young at about the age of 9, that it also very much influenced and even helped to progress this connection to spirit that I have. And I also see that as a marker or something that was destined to happen in a certain way, and not that their death was for my sake, but my soul could use that as a tool to help expand, grow, and evolve. So I want you to think about your lives, and I want you to go about today. Of course, continue to participate in the side of you that is going to talk about everything you love today, and you're going to let go anything else or talking about anything else that you don't love. But I want you to also spend some time looking at the markers in your life that were pivotal for you. For some of you, it might have been a car accident or the loss of a loved one. It could be a health scare that you've had in your life. That's a pivotal marker. Now, this isn't to say that everyone that has a dis-ease or a health crisis or an issue, that is just their soul contract. They can't get out of it. They can't get healthy. They can't get better. I don't believe that. But we all do need to take an opportunity to look at what those markers in our life that are on our contract that we can already see. And it also helps us, I firmly believe, to understand the people that play a role in our life. And so I'm going to talk about soulmates. And a soulmate can be a positive person in your life, a romantic connection, a sibling, a parent, but it also can be a negative connection. Maybe it's that ex that was in your life and they really wreaked havoc. They created a lot of stress and drama, and it hurt your life in some way you feel. But if you look at it in another way, it could really mean that that person was to help you grow, learn, and evolve as a person. And you can come on the other side of any soulmate connection bitter or better. It's always your choice. It doesn't mean that the person that you had a negative soulmate encounter with is off the hook for their bad behavior, but it certainly means that you don't have to succumb to being a victim of what you went through. It's reflection, it's looking back, it's moving on, it's knowing you don't have to go through that again, it's knowing that you're not destined in your life to repeat those same lessons once you learn them. So a negative soulmate can be someone like an ex. It can be a parent in your life that was abusive. It could be a teacher in your life, like a school teacher, a professor at a university that it just wreaked havoc on your life. Wasn't the positive experience that you wanted, or the lessons that you were needing to learn, or even just the lessons of the class that you were taking. But their negative experience or your encounter with them as a negative experience can grow and evolve your soul. You can learn from it and change. And also we can learn what not to do in life from those negative people that we encounter. If you had the abusive parent, you don't need to grow up to be abusive yourself. You can change it. If you've had an alcoholic in your life or a drug addict in your life, you can learn from their mistakes and grow and evolve your soul. And I've seen this in the spirit world, and I know some of you, you're going to think that like that's so crazy. And hi, Chrissy. Thank you so much for being in class yesterday. You were awesome and amazing and a doll. So thank you for coming yesterday to the beginning class. So as I'm going on about soulmates and needing to grow and evolve from those situations, and of course, I'm looking at my notes because I'm always the teacher having notes to make sure I keep on track and hit certain points that I want to talk about. But with a negative soulmate, we can also see our role in the connection that we had with them. We can see what our part was to play. And are you proud of who you were in that relationship, or is there something to grow about? And if we can look back and really reflect, we can understand that that person may have played a very important role in our life, and not to harm us, but to teach us. So I've seen this over and over again where we cross to the other side and I'll see two souls. Oftentimes it's a marriage partnership, like a husband and wife. So their child, maybe their daughter has come for a session and a reading and mom comes forward and dad comes forward. And then I start to see that in the physical world, mom and dad didn't get along or they didn't have a good relationship, and it caused problems for the person that I'm giving the messages to. But on the other side, they see their part that they played. They show me that they've healed. They show me that they've come back together. I've seen them, a husband and wife that had a terrible relationship in the physical world, high-five each other in the spirit world and thank one another for the lessons that they could learn. Now, they didn't necessarily do well with the lessons that they learned when they were alive, but they do well on the other side when their eyes are open, when they see a bigger picture of it. But isn't it a blessing when we can take some of the negative experiences with other people in our life when we're still alive and understand that lesson while we're here? We can get past so many issues. We can get past the pain and the hurt, the sorrow that we can carry for years and years. I've done healing sessions and worked on with people that I can feel inside them have been carrying a divorce situation and an anger at an ex for 40 years. And it begins to manifest as dis-ease within inside of us. So anyone that we don't get right with here in the physical world, we have an opportunity in the afterlife. And isn't the afterlife amazing that we can go over there and open our eyes and see a bigger picture and see into the soul, even of someone that may have been abusive to us? That is a very powerful kind of soulmate. And I'm not saying that you should just get over or don't just forgive everything that someone that it may have caused you a lot of pain in your life, but certainly take a look at it in a different way, because it doesn't have to rob you of your joy while you're here. I want to mention also, when we're on the other side, when we don't get things right or we don't step into a place of letting go on some level and forgiveness on some level, that we often make a contract with or put that in our soul contract to have another experience with that abuser in some way in another life. So if you don't want to have another life with that ex or with that parent or with that sibling or whoever it might be, or that teacher perhaps in your life, that person that was such a negative experience for you, then you want to seek to have that reflection and to let go of whatever you may be still holding on to from that pain, so that you don't have another lifetime with that person. I do have an ex, and I have a very painful past with it, an ex. And I have spent much time releasing, letting go, healing from. And you know what the truth is when I look at it now, I feel very blessed to have the experience that I did with him. I wouldn't want to relive it, and I certainly know better now and wouldn't have that same experience. It wouldn't be presented to me in this lifetime again. But I'm blessed to have had it, and I'm blessed to have my son that I have from the relationship. So there's so many things that I love about it that I wouldn't take it away. And I hope all of you, with that negative person that was in your life or that negative soulmate, that you can begin to also see the potential for the growth of your soul and the release from the pain that was caused in that relationship and move forward in a different way. It's very empowering. Great. So I've got Elizabeth is asking a question here. It looks like it. And good morning, everyone. Thank you to everyone that has come in the room to learn a little bit about soulmate, soul growth, soul contracts. Elizabeth writes, I've always wondered this, but I know it's a hard question. So if you don't have an answer, that's okay. I love when people present it to me like that. I'm like, okay, what are they going to ask? No. But here goes. Do people come with contracts to commit crimes, rapes, murders, etc.? So here's what I know about that, Elizabeth. Yes, some do, but not in all cases. And even if it's in their contract to do these heinous crimes or these things like that would make no sense to us, there can be lessons that happen in that person's lifetime, and then the contract with the person that's supposed to have that experience, it can get changed, or it can get rewritten or shifted depending on the lessons that the two people learn as they're going about their life. Not every rape, not every murder, not every abusive situation is contracted in. Absolutely not. But there are situations and exceptions where they are contracted in for those people to learn it. There's also a hard truth here that I'm going to mention, and I think I mentioned it in the class I taught yesterday, is that it bothers me that children are ever hurt. Like, I can't, animals and children, like, it just, I have a hard time with that. Like, I can't accept even the spiritual lesson, and I don't necessarily want to hear it, but I was given this message from Spirit, so I'm going to share it. And again, I'm not saying every time this situation is presented that it's soul contract, but many of the children that have mass starvations together, so children in groups, let's just say in Africa or other countries of the world that are in groups that have a mass starvation, that oftentimes they do contract to come in together to have that experience to teach the world something. They use their soul and a life that they have to help us learn, grow, and evolve and become better human beings. And I just wish that we would learn that. I wish that we would stop having these situations, but it's something that I know that some very evolved and loving and beautiful souls come in to try to help teach the rest of us. There are also souls that come in to do very horrible things, because sometimes we learn more from hard lessons than we do from love. Christ came, Buddha came. They gave us the message that we need to stop and love one another. I mean, Christ said it very simply. Like, the only rule we really need to have is to love your neighbor as yourself. And if we did that, we wouldn't really need to have any other commandments or things like that, because we would be acting from that place of love, and everything would change and evolve from that. But we still haven't done that. And so sometimes we have really hard lessons in our world to help wake us up in some way. And perhaps they're not soul contracts, but if we do have tragedy in the world that way, isn't it an opportunity for us to step up to the lesson that could be presented through a tragedy? So your soul contract is your roadmap. And within it, there's going to be certain lessons. And you got to look at your own life theme or reoccurring situations that happen in your life to help you learn, or to look at what might be your lesson. So I know for me, one of the lessons that I have, and it even came up yesterday in class, so everybody that was in class yesterday might get a kick out of this, is that patience. It's one of my life lessons. So oftentimes I work hard on something and there might be a delay, or there might be a stretch. So an example would be the angel cards. And my angel cards are just, they're on the cusp of being done and ready. And it's all written and the artist is working on the pictures, and I'm still needing to have patience with it. There's a book that I'm waiting to come out that this amazing woman wrote, that she puts what she titled very talented and gifted mediums and psychics and mediums in this book, and I'm still waiting for it to come out. So oftentimes I have a life lesson. It's in my soul contract of patience. And do I want patience? No, but it's a lesson, and the more I learn it and the more I flow with that energy of love that way, then the easier I can flow into the magical experiences that present themselves to me. Another life lesson that I have is to surrender and release, and to be vulnerable. I have a very hard time with being in those vulnerable situations where I don't feel in control. So some of you that know me well, nobody needs to call me out right now, or no, but I do like to really control things, be organized, be planned, be well put together. So that's another lesson for me, and it very much dovetails within the patience theme that runs through my life. So those things are also part of your soul contract, and any or all of us can be reflective and see what it is, so that we can do better at understanding what we're supposed to learn and move past it. Does anybody have, if you want to share, Hear what you believe might be a soul lesson for you, or a recurring theme in some way for your life as well. I would love to hear if you have an idea. I am going to see, I've got some questions here. And April asks, and April, love you. I had so much fun at the class yesterday and I can't wait to continue. Oh, good. That's not really a question, but I'm super happy for that as well. And which brings me to something that I wanted to mention quickly, is that I'm very excited to announce that I did open another section of my level 1, Developing Your Intuition, March 3rd and 4th. I opened another section because I had so many emails. I had more than 10 emails or messages on Facebook in different ways of people who said that they were trying to register for the class, but they couldn't. What was wrong? And I realized it was sold out. So I didn't have more seats for the February 3rd and 4th developing one. And so now I've opened that section and there's already several seats gone for that. I'm only taking 12 students at a time because I really want to work with all of you and help you to develop, working with your energy, working with tools to help you connect for guidance in your own life. So for that personal development side of things. So I'm excited to announce. So don't leave yet. But run over after here and register for March 3rd and 4th if you missed out on February 3rd and 4th. So it's coming around again. I also did want to announce before I forget that I only have one seat left for my gallery on November 30th. That's from 7 to 9 p.m. in Santa Clara. And in a gallery, what I do is I give readings. So I give messages from Spirit to members of people in the audience, random messages. So I have, I think, one seat left. It might be gone, so I'm not sure. But check if you're interested in the gallery. And I am putting together and organizing, and it will be an application process, but I'm going to work with 8 people that are single that want to find their soulmate. Interesting, because we're talking about soulmates on some level here, and I'm going to bring up again some soulmate stuff that relates to positivity. But I'm going to work with people that are single that want to find their soulmate or find their match. You don't have to live in my area because we'll do it online and it'll be through video contact. So if you know somebody that's single and doesn't want to be, it's going to be a year-long process. And I've already worked with some people and with success, bringing them, one person is now married and another person is developing a successful, healthy relationship. And the year isn't even up with her of soul learning and soul growth. So that's exciting. If you are interested in doing that and meeting a soulmate for you and the love of your life, you're done being single, send me an email and I have some requirements for people that I'm going to let in the class. So I'll give that out if people are wanting to. It's going to start in the new year sometime with that. And we'll meet once a month for 12 months for that. So there'll be more information coming with that. So I want to talk about soulmates for the positive side of things. And like attracts like. So all things come together that are in a vibrational match. I just want to make sure I'm getting to questions, so I apologize. Okay, Jan writes, I think it is in my soul contract to learn to let go of attachments. Yeah. And you know what, Jen? You can really help yourself with that if you clean out your closets and drawers and even makeup stuff and you purge things on a regular basis. It really helps. And we can start to see in our life where, if we do have strong attachments, to what kinds of things. Different people have strong attachments to different kinds of things. And taking a look, but purging things will also help you. Misty writes, relaxing control and knowing that I must trust myself and my body to be healthy and happy, for sure. And Elizabeth writes, definitely releasing the need to control for me. That is a lesson. Interesting how for so many of us that's part of the lesson. And Dawn writes, forgiveness. Yeah, thank you, Misty, and congrats on the card. It's been certainly a labor of patience and love for me. I need to maybe get glasses so I can read some of this. Sorry. Dawn writes, it's been a reoccurring theme for me, starting with child abuse and then as an adult, forgiveness for myself. Absolutely. That's a big one, Dawn. And so when we can reach those big markers, we really free ourselves in life. We really come to a space of freedom. Yeah, and Debbie writes, the loss of her son is a soul lesson. You know what? That's the same for me with my dad, and certainly in a different way. I'm not saying that one loss is worse than another, but I do feel the loss of a child is a really big deal. You can't get out of that one without some huge soul growth, one way or another. Just no two ways about that one. It's a lesson that since you had to learn it, and I know you stepped up to the plate to embrace all sides of the loss of that and the pain of that in the most beautiful way possible. So I just want to continue, Debbie, to encourage you to write a book. So anyway, Melissa writes, and Melissa, mwah, love you. A soul lesson for me is being in an abusive relationship. Yeah, I was too. That was a big lesson for me also in this life. And you stayed for a really long time. And you know what? I don't think we should beat ourselves up for how long or how fast or, the fact that we're even in an abusive relationship. No beating ourselves up with that. So let's switch around. I want you to think about now some of the most positive people in your life or the most loving of relationships that you have been in that are soulmate connections for you, but in a positive way. You may be super fortunate to have that teacher in your life that, you didn't maybe have everything that you needed at home, but you had the teacher that was the role model for you or a support system or made sure you had what you needed or nurtured you. Think about maybe the parent or the sibling or the aunt. I mean, I have so many people in my life that are amazing, beautiful, positive soulmate connections. A soulmate isn't just a romantic partner. It certainly is that. But a soulmate are also other people in your life that help your soul evolve and grow, just simply put. Okay, also Chrissy writes, and Chrissy's just awesome, love you. If you have a soul contract that you have worked to release or forgive, etc., with someone and the other person does not, will you experience soul contract with them again in some way? So the answer could be possibly, because your soul may desire in some way to go hey, I really learned a lot. I resolved it. I got past everything. And then you may decide with them on the other side in the afterlife that you're going to also be in their life in some way to help them grow in the next life, but not necessarily. You might be able to. You've done all of the work, you've released everything that needs to be released, and you can walk away, or you can get to the other side and let someone else handle that role in their next lifetime. But oftentimes what we do is we see such a bigger picture that we desire. We want to help, we want to give more. So don't be surprised if you get over there and you're like, in my physical self, my conscious ego mind self when I was alive would have been like, hell no, I'm walking away. But your soul side of yourself might be very much desiring and wanting for that person's soul to also experience what you got to achieve while you were in physical. So either way, but it's not a have to either way. There's no forcing of that to happen. It's always on your soul's desire. So I hope that helped. Thank you, Hope. Miss you. I hope you're well over there with your beautiful babies. Your girls look so beautiful every time I see them and so happy when you put pictures. So it's wonderful to see you in chat here, Hope. Let's see, Elizabeth. My contract with my daughter, the process of bringing her to life, and it brought me some amazing teachers and so much spiritual development. That's true. Our children are always going to be part of a soul contract process, no matter what kind of parent we are, what kind of child they are. And it's wonderful when things come full circle. It's never easy to be a parent. I feel like we never really get it right, even in the best of circumstances. And so I know with my son, like through his teenage years, like there were a lot of struggles, even in his really early 20s. But now that he's 24 and he's out there in the world and he's putting himself through school and he's working a job, it's like I couldn't be more proud. Like he turned out really well. And so if he sees this or he listens, Tyler, your mom loves you and I'm so proud of you. And I must have done a lot of things right because you're pretty awesome. So call your mom. I love you and I miss you. All right. What else do we have? Any other questions? Positive soulmates and growth lessons. Our positive soulmates teach us how and who we want to be or to aspire who we want to be. And sometimes they are bigger figures than ourselves, like maybe Martin Luther King Jr. or Jesus, or they can be a type of a soulmate if they become a pivotal and a very important part of your life, something that you think about over and over again. So someone that's written books about Jesus or Martin Luther King Jr. would have a type of soulmate connection to that individual, even if they weren't physically in their life. People that give their life over to God or Jesus or religion, they're a priest or a nun or pastor or something in some way, also have somewhat of a soul connection with that very spiritual being. And sometimes those of us who don't necessarily have a strong connection religiously, we still might have an interpersonal soul connection, even if it's not based here in the physical world. So that's another type that is not often talked about, and I don't hear people mention it. And you have a definite soul connection or soulmate connection with also your guides and some angels. So, I mean, I'm opening it so fairly big here. I'm broadening it out, but these are also positive influences on us that we don't always think about. And so as you go about your day and you're talking about things you love, let your angels, let your guides, let your loved ones on the other side that were such a positive influence know that they did that for you. Call up someone today that was a positive influence to you. Send a Facebook message to someone that's always posting really positive, beautiful stuff that is inspiring to you. Even if that's not, say, a soulmate for you, you've got such a positive connection with that person that can help lift your energy up. Jeremy, hi. So Jeremy writes, quite a few events in my life shared similar footprints. Right. These are events and they're a clue for your soul contract. Yes, we can have recurring events and situations because sometimes we don't always learn right away. Have you seen people that are in one negative romantic relation after another? It's like it's a different person, bodysuit, but a similar person type. So we'll get reoccurring lessons in our life until we wake up and we learn them. And we can often get stuck in the wash cycle or a pattern because we're not choosing to see the lesson that's in front of us. We let fear and we let other life situations keep us from really moving forward. And it can be part of our contract. There are things in our contract that can even intervene. We put things in there in case I don't, say, leave this relationship or leave this job, then this will happen. I will get laid off, or this person will leave me, or whatever. We have some contingencies in there if we get ourselves stuck. But even so, we might not learn the lesson, and so we have a similar situation play out in our life. So that's something to think about. Thank you for bringing that up, Jeremy, because this is quite complex kinds of stuff. And Denise asks, how many angels or guides can a person have? It depends on where the person is at their life, Denise, or what's going on in their life to really determine how many that we can have at a time. The more struggles we're going through, the more support that way we tend to have, the more heaven steps up. But if they know, if our support team, and that's next week's Afterlife lesson is on your soul team, your spirit team. And who is it? Who are they? Why are they there? And how do they help? And I'm going to go more into all of the angels and guides in a little bit clearer fashion and let people know some of this as well. But it's dependent if what you need to go through. And they will step back from us somewhat if they know that anything that they will do or the support they give will keep us from learning what we need to learn, because we will tell them when we're in the afterlife, we will say, don't stop me from having this struggle. Don't stop me from experiencing this difficulty, because I'm going to need it in this lifetime. My soul needs the experience for whatever reason. I mean, the mind of God is bigger than I think any of us can really, truly fathom. So just kind of putting that out there. Dawn asks, how do we work with our spirit team to become more aware of our soul contracts? Oh, well, that's a great question. Way to tie it in. Well, one of the things that we have to do is we have to meditate. We have to allow for time in our week, for some people in your day, to allow the experience to come in. But meditation doesn't have to be just sitting down and not thinking. It can be while you're folding laundry or on the treadmill, or whatever way it is for your mind to open and expand to make the connection. But we need to have time to make the connection. And then we also have to be open to the possibilities of it. So many people are walking around that don't want to believe that things can have somewhat of a roadmap for us, or the struggles that we have could be actually and ultimately for the benefit or the love of us, or our love for our soul's growth, or the experience of our soul. So many people want to block that. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to hear it. It's not written somewhere in the Bible, so it can't possibly be true. And when people wake up and open their eyes and notice, then they have more of an opportunity to know that and work with them. And there are some things I'm going to talk about next week as well that we can do on our end to receive. And because our spirit team, they're constantly sending us signs and symbols that they're there and that they're with us. So that's another way. And so I might need you to ask that same question next week if I'm not as clear as I want to be on it. It seems very reactionary at this point in my life. I'm just continuing to read what Dawn writes in my life, and I desire to be more proactive. Being more proactive also means that you have to enter in with that healthy mindset that you're going to allow the information to come in and flow, and that you're also going to do your best to be aware of it. And they'll keep bringing it till we see it. But there's probably, if you're over 40, and probably for many of you, even if you're under 40, that if you look back at your life and you see the experiences, the struggles that you went to, the losses that you've had, you're probably going to start to see a pattern of some kind of what your lessons are just from your own life experiences. And if you don't want to repeat any of those lessons, it's about really reflecting and looking at them. Misty asked, so would I tell my guides before coming here to step back while going through a rough time so that I can't hear them in order to develop and trust? That's a definite possibility, because for some of us, that's part of that surrender. It's part of that release. It's part of trusting our own intuition. It won't be that they ever fully step away. It just often means that they don't get in the middle of or synchronize certain things to pull back from some of that stress or struggle. And we can often, as human beings, get really stuck in the mindfulness of the pain of something. And we all deserve to have that and go through that at times. I'm not saying that we need to grieve when grief is appropriate. We need all of those things. They do help us. Not that it's fun to experience that, but certainly it's an important part of being human and the process of being human. Okay, I just want to reiterate a few things that I still, at this time, just before I started the Facebook Live, that there was still one seat left for my gallery. And a gallery is where I give readings to some audience members. There's one seat left, and it's November 30th from 7 to 9 p.m. in Santa Clara. Let's see. There are still seats available for the level 1 development. It's 2 days, March 3rd and 4th, 2 full days. You register online on my website, angelichope.com. If you are interested in developing your own intuition and really taking that to the next level, And if you are interested in finding your soulmate and you want support to help shift your life in that direction, and you want more information on that, that's coming soon. But you could also email me, Leanne@angelichope.com, for more information on the journey for finding your soulmate. And I hope that you all will be able to be up very late at night on December the 20th to hear me on Coast to Coast AM radio speaking about all things angelic. Oh, and I want to add here before I end things that the next series that I'll be doing, and I'll give the dates next week of when I'll start the next series, but it's going to be how to do some at-home personal development of your intuition or spirit connections. So there'll be another 4-week series on how to develop at home. A class is kind of like fast tracking your energy in a certain direction. But there's some things that we can all do at home to help continue to promote ourselves. And this will be for anyone and everyone. And if you're already an intuitive, or say you're already working as a medium or intuitive, it doesn't hurt to go back to basics and be reminded of things that we can do at home or on our own to continue to progress and develop our own intuition and our connection to spirit. I think I'm leaving something out. I can't quite think of it now. Oh, next week. Next week it won't be at 10 o'clock. Next week will be at 2 o'clock that I will be doing Facebook Live, because I have a group reading next Sunday and it starts at 10 a.m. So I won't be able to do this at 10 a.m. So we'll have our last Afterlife series, and that one's on your spirit team, but it's in the afternoon. So I hope you all can make it. But if not, all of these videos that I'm doing Facebook Live, I'm also putting on YouTube. And please check out my YouTube channel. I'm going to announce this first here to you all, that once I reach 500 subscribers on YouTube, and those people also are have liked my Facebook page and have also follow me on Instagram, you will be entered in to win a free reading. So go and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and find me on Instagram. I'm Leanne Thomas Medium on Instagram. And of course, if you haven't liked my Facebook page here, like that, because once I get to 500 subscribers on YouTube, I'm going to do a freebie thing. And so you can get started on liking all of those things right now to help us get to the 500. I will be having someone else draw the name for me, and then I will let that person know that they get the free reading once I reach 500. So go and do those things. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd be really grateful. But for now, hopefully I've answered your questions on soul contracts and on soul growth and our soul lessons we need to learn, and on soulmates. So for now, happy Sunday. Talk about everything you love, and I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.